Good morning. This session will present the recommended implementation guidelines on remote learning delivery for preschool and kindergarten, otherwise known as the ABCs program. Notes on these will be found on page 7 of the RLCE manual for implementation. Before we go into the details of the recommendations, it is important that we lay the right foundation. I hope that by this time, administrators, principals, and preschool teachers would already have read the article posted at the SOTP Lifeline entitled The Rationale of Preschool and ABCs of ACE. Educational psychologist Edmund Huey wrote in 1908, "To completely analyze what we do when we read would almost be the acme of a psychologist's achievements, for it would be to describe very many of the most intricate workings of the human mind." Mr. Huey equated reading with thinking. If this is the case, what skills are to be expected of an independent reader? And how are these skills taught and learned? Literacy, the ability to read and write, has always been perceived to be crucial across countries and cultures. It is central to the curriculum of all educational institutions, and standards set for it are not just of major interest to parents and teachers, but even to lawmakers of a country. Many experts argue that reading is not a natural language process which can be acquired without instruction. It is a skill that is learned. Along this reading as skill model, there are two major views that reading or literacy teachers uphold. First is the view of reading as a complex unitary skill. And second, reading as made up of observable, identifiable, discrete, specific skills. How a teacher views reading affects how he teaches reading. It is therefore highly recommended that before schools think about what technology to use with our youngest students for remote learning delivery during this pandemic, a school and its preschool staff must begin with this foundation. School of Tomorrow views reading as a complex, unitary skill. Therefore, our reading readiness and learning to read programs, in order to be effective, must be implemented in a holistic, integrative manner. Schools must have the right pedagogical stand to be able to choose the mode of delivery appropriate in a school's context and capacity. Pedagogy precedes technology. Pedagogy informs technology and not the other way around. Given this background on SOTP's reading programs, these are our recommended guidelines for implementation. First, for diagnostic testing, which includes both the reading readiness and coordination development tests, because of the distinctive of the SOTP system, which is individualization, diagnostic testing for RR and ABCs should be done one-on-one. If possible, in the school. If not in the school, then at the home of the student. To observe health standards set by any LGU during this pandemic, where face-to-face instruction is discouraged, the following measures are recommended. Letter A. Detailed instructions are to be sent to the parent of the child to be tested, including the waiver or the informed consent for the home visit or the school visit, when possible, which should be signed and returned to the school. Letter B. Testing fee, if any, should be paid. Letter C. Upon the school's receipt of payment or proof of payment, a schedule is set for the test. Then, letter D. The teacher goes to the student's home, or conversely, the parent with the student goes to the school as scheduled and conducts the test. If possible, The teacher should use private transportation both for her safety and for the parents' peace of mind if the teacher is indeed to do a home visit to conduct the test. Next, of course, the test is evaluated and a summary of the results is sent to the parents. At the same time, a schedule for the discussion of the results is set. The results of the test are then discussed with the parents remotely. All requirements as regards enrollment should be taken up during this conference, including parent involvement and training with a signed agreement to this effect. So, diagnostic testing is done. You have a prospective student. After initial testing of students, we need to turn our attention to our hands-on partners for the RLCE setup, the parents. Parental involvement has always been crucial for the success of the School of Tomorrow system. However, we need to understand that parental involvement is not just crucial for the successful implementation of the RR and ABC's programs. It is absolutely necessary. So what does this mean? If you have a prospective enrollee, but there is no parent or responsible adult available at home to supervise, I would strongly suggest that you do not accept the student. Now, let's discuss the involvement of parents and their responsibilities. These should be in the parent agreement form, comprehensively and clearly, and ideally should at least include the following parental responsibilities. As your need arises as a school, you may add some more, but it should include the following. Letter A, the parent is responsible for setting up work areas which should consist of 2, an area for physical activity, which may be as simple as a mat, and then letter B, a small desk or table where pacework and drill work is done. Now please, these areas should be free from distractions. Parents should especially make sure that when using any online facility, the screen should be open only when the student is engaged with the teacher. Another parental responsibility is making sure that student follows daily routine as set up by the teacher. This includes attendance to lessons and activities on time. And yes, this will mean that the parent wakes up early too. Letter C, practicing alphabet sounds and reading and writing every day with the child, preferably before and or after each session with the teacher. The parent should also assist in memorization, memorizing the numbers, the sight words, the Bible verses, the songs, the actions to the songs, whatever it takes for the student to master, to learn within the program that is set by the teacher. The parent should assist. Letter E, allow the child to work independently on paces after teacher gives instructions. Parents should give minimal instructions and supervision only, especially for kinder and especially as the year progresses. Remember, even with our young students, our goal is for them to be independent learners. Because of all these parental responsibilities, orientation and training of the parent or adult who will be with the child during the program on remote delivery is highly recommended. Now, let's go to the general PACE and remote learning recommended procedures. Before the school year begins, it is advisable that the PACEs needed for the first quarter are sent or delivered to the parents with an agreement on the confidentiality of the materials. A packet containing other materials needed to complete activities for the first set of PACEs should also be included. The conduction of the different activities that make up the day of an RR and ABC student will be considered under 3 different categories. Category A, will be e-learning in areas where no face-to-face instruction is allowed. For those who will do this, please keep in mind that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends only a maximum of 1 hour of screen time with very young children. 1 hour. Category B will be blended, where there is limited face-to-face instruction, but subject to Department of Health and LGU guidelines. And Category C will be for areas where there may be more mobility, but little or no internet or telephone capacity. These are the 3 environments or the 3 scenarios where we will be discussing the conduction of the procedures of ABCs and RR. So, how may daily group activities like singing and storytelling be conducted? For Category A, e-learning. This may be done live by the teacher using a platform like Zoom or Google Suite. It is vital that for this mode of delivery, animal stories and character trait stories are done one-on-one. To preserve a teacher's voice, she can pre-record the storytelling and broadcast it during the scheduled one-on-one time with the child. Why one-on-one? The stories in the program are not meant only to entertain, although they're fun, but instill character and spiritual awareness. It also enables the child to develop strategies of predicting, confirming, and active sampling through the comprehension questions before, during, and after the storytelling. Additionally, the development of beginning reading skills in an RR or ABC's child is not a process that grows and changes by itself. It's not separate. It's integrated. It's correlated with other aspects of a child's development, be it physical, cognitive, linguistic, and socio-emotional. So it's important that this be done one-on-one. For Category B, where it's blended, where there's face-to-face that's allowed, maybe for a limited time. In areas where this is allowed, a limited number of children may be allowed in school for these crucial activities. If there are several students and only one teacher, students may come to school on a preset schedule for about 1 to 2 hours each group. So they would be divided into small groups of maybe 3 or 4 students each time, and then they will be given a schedule, and each group would report to the teacher for the activities. What about question and answer activities for comprehension? Sound drill, alphabet drill, and other activities. For Category A, e-learning, again, okay? It is recommended that these activities are done one-on-one, according to a preset schedule, preferably in the morning. My preschool teacher said, if this is scheduled in the afternoon, the students are either taking naps or are tired and cranky and would not want to learn anymore. So morning time is preferred. This is also preferred over any recording, as the child is more engaged when there is actual interaction with the teacher. Because of the intensive one-on-one time, there can only be a maximum of 4 to 5 students per teacher per day for preschool. This is for the effectivity as well as for the health of the teacher. Kindergarten may have up to 8 per teacher, but the number should be less if students have not gone through our preschool program. Because of this, lesson approach may vary from child to child, as some lessons may need to be reinforced with other activities for adequate skills development. And here you have, again, individualization. For Category B, blended, in areas where face-to-face is allowed. Again, short and clustered meetings of a maximum of 3 children is ideal. And then follow-up of the activities as to their completion and quality could be done via telephone calls. For category C, where there is no capacity of internet with low or no COVID cases, but children are still restricted to report to the school, what you could do would be to have a special arrangement done with the child's parents and the local social worker and barangay officials so that your teacher could be allowed to handle the short meetings with the children who live in homes within a neighboring community. There's a third set of activities, seat work and other supplemental activities. In all the categories, category A, e-learning, category B, blended, category C, where there is no internet capacity. In all of the categories, the supplemental activities and the seat work could be done at home under parent and adult supervision. The pictures of finished activities or the actual paces, especially those that require scoring, may be sent to the teacher or may be shown the following day during group or one-on-one time. Remember, for ABCs, all reading is to be done with the teacher. However, a parent should be present during these lessons so that the parent would know how to drill sounds and guide proper reading and handwriting at home. Please understand that the ABC's reading program is also a handwriting development program. So practice writing sheets should be part of the materials the school sends home with each student. An important note regarding handwriting. Part of parent training should include an explanation of why handwriting direction and sequence is important to the learning and development of the child. Other internal procedures may include the following. A daily report from the teacher will be communicated with the parent, stating the lessons done and what other activities may be done at home to supplement the learning. Daily communication with parents becomes an even more crucial teacher responsibility during the pandemic. One of our parents even commented, we should over-communicate. Letter E, the afternoons may be reserved for teachers' planning of the next day's activities and lessons, and some extra make-up time with students who have demonstrated a weakness in a specific skill. Another guideline would be after a set of paces is done. For example, RR 1001 for math, for English, social studies, science, and word building for preschool, and word building 1001 to maybe 1003 for kindergarten. The teacher may again do a home visit, retrieve the completed paces, and then deliver the new packet containing all of the materials needed to complete activities for the next set of paces. The visit will also be an opportunity to interact with the student and address any areas of concern with the parent. So in effect, it becomes a parent-teacher conference. Next, the coordination development skills, or the Department of Education's ECCD, should be scheduled one-on-one with a home visit at the beginning, the middle after 2 quarters, and the end of the school year. Teacher and parent creativity is needed here, as some equipment, for example, the balance beam, that cannot be taken to the student's home. So these visits and activities may be done to coincide with quarter breaks so that tangible rewards for past work and the quarter may also be given personally by the teacher to each of her students. For busy parents, a schedule of goals or lessons may be sent at least a week in advance, so they will be aware ahead of time what their child needs to accomplish, at least for the week ahead. Lessons may also be lessened or added to depending on parental availability. Remember as well that reviewing, drilling, repeating instructions, praising, and praying with each student will spell the difference between students just finishing the program or flourishing under the program. Before we end, some important reminders. Please remember that these are recommended guidelines with the objective of pointing schools and teachers in the right direction. Not all recommendations will be applicable to everyone. As in implementing every program, before you do so, each school must make an assessment of their context and all of their available resources and how these may be maximized. Important to remember. The RR and ABC supervisor assigned to implement the programs in any RLCE mode of delivery must have extensive experience in doing the programs in a regular learning center. Please, at this time, if at all possible, do not have a new preschool teacher or ABC's teacher not having any learning center experience conduct the RLCE delivery. So that it would be effective, you need a teacher that has extensive experience handling a regular learning center. Thank you.